Capitol Hill. This morning, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu returned to Capitol Hill to meet with House Speaker Mike Johnson. This after President Trump doubled down on his proposal for the U.S. to take control of Gaza and for Palestinians there to be resettled. Here's part of what Netanyahu had to say.
The American-Israeli alliance has never been stronger. I'm now completing a week in which began with an extraordinary meeting with President Trump. And under his leadership, the critical decisions that show his commitment and the American people's commitment to Israel have come to the fore instantly.
Joining us now, NBC's Yasmin Azukian in Tel Aviv. Yasmin, this is all occurring here in the United States while we're awaiting the next round of names of those hostages who are supposed to be released by Hamas. How is this impacting talks there?
It's a little bit of a cat and mouse because right now we're waiting for those names. As you mentioned, we're waiting 3 names right now who we know are said to be men. Those names have been delayed so far. However, we got word from a Hamas spokesperson saying, in fact, they were committed to implementing the ceasefire deal, but that was followed up by saying that they don't feel as if Israel is keeping up their end of the bargain and providing humanitarian aid in the way in which they have promised. And what they're talking about specifically is tents and caravans, for instance. We've had terrible weather here for the last 48 hours or so, 50-mile-an-hour winds, consistent rain as well. So if you think about North Gaza right now, you have hundreds of thousands of residents without shelter who are dealing with that rain and that wind. And so it's one of the reasons why the Hamas spokesperson is now elevating this in his statement, along with saying side by side, though, they are still committed to implementing the ceasefire. When it comes to those ongoing talks, Jose, we have word from local media, but not confirmation from the Prime Minister's office that there will be a group of people going to Qatar this weekend, maybe Saturday, maybe Sunday. This is all really up in the air. And I think some of it is dependent on the release of those names and seeing how the hostage transfer goes tomorrow. If, in fact, they do go to Qatar to take up talks on solidifying phase 1 of this ceasefire deal and then moving on to phase 2 of the ceasefire deal, that will include a member of Shin Bet as well, and that is domestic intelligence here in Israel. So again, all up in the air right now, but again, seeming like a little bit of a cat and mouse as we await these 3 names to be released for the next 3 hostages to be exchanged tomorrow morning, likely, Jose.
Yasmin Azukian in Tel Aviv, thank you so very much. And joining us now from Ramallah, West Bank, is Diana Butta, political analyst and former advisor to the Palestinian president, Mahmoud Abbas. Diana, thank you very much for being with us. This surprise for everyone, announcement by President Trump on Tuesday that the United States should be taking Gaza, moving everybody out, and then rebuilding it. How is that being perceived by Palestinians?
Well, it's ethnic cleansing, and I think it's important to label it what exactly it is. Look, the Israelis have long been advocating and pushing for ethnic cleansing. It didn't start today. It's been ongoing since 1948. And when this genocide began in October of 2023, the Israeli Prime Minister made it clear that Gaza was going to be smaller in size and thinner in population. That means ethnic cleansing. And so now we hear a U.S. president that is not punishing the perpetrators of this genocide, but is instead rewarding them by saying that he is also going to be complicit in this and that he's going to be part and parcel of moving, ethnically cleansing Palestinians out from Gaza. And so this is very problematic. And one would hope that we would see that there would be an international reaction against these policies of genocide and ethnic cleansing, but I simply don't see it.
So when we're talking genocide and ethnic cleansing, you're talking about what happened in October 2023. You're talking about the October 7th massacre, or what happened after that October 7th massacre with the reality in Gaza since?
Well, obviously, I'm talking about what Israel has done since. We're now looking at more than 62,000 Palestinians that have been killed by the Israeli army. We see that 90% of the buildings in the Gaza Strip are completely decimated. The hospital system has been destroyed. And so this has been a systematic process of genocide that international organizations and others have been saying is genocide. So the problem here is that unless we address the issue of Israel's genocide of Palestinians by holding Israeli officials accountable. What we're instead doing, what the United States is instead doing, is saying that genocide is okay. It's okay for Israel to commit genocide and to allow the ethnic cleansing of Palestinians. That is not only illegal under international law, it's immoral. And I can't believe that we're even having this conversation.
Well, we're having a conversation because when you talk about genocide, it's the elimination of an entire people. And I don't know if that would be something that one could define in what has been going on in the war between Israel and Hamas, a war that started on 7th of October when 1,200 men, women, and children were killed, massacred, and raped in their own country. But
please,
one of the things that President Trump said is that there is, if you repeat the same things over and over again,
like you're doing right now,
condemned to essentially have the same outcome. And I'm just wondering,
like you're doing right now,
a different outcome for the people of Gaza. What would be a different outcome for the people that do want to live in peace, in harmony, without being in an act or state of war forever?
Please, dear God, explain to him how completely devoid of sanity and logic and reason and knowledge and history what he just said is. Please enlighten him. Oh, please.
Well, first, I want to correct you about this idea of what genocide is. And what genocide is not the entire elimination of people, but it is the practice of people that is expressed both in intent and in action of making sure that they have no means of life. And so this isn't just the words that I've been uttering, but it's also the International Court of Justice. We also have indictments by the International Criminal Court against Prime Minister Netanyahu. And so what is happening is, in fact, genocide. The issue, though, to get to your point about what is it that people want, it's important for us to recognize that to simply focus on one day, meaning October the 7th, is the height of dehumanization against Palestinians. It's to ignore the history of Israel's actions against them, the ethnic cleansing of 1948, the ongoing ethnic cleansing process in the West Bank, and all of the settlements, everything that they've done since. So if we want to move forward, I think we have to address the root causes. And that root cause is that people have not been able to go to their homes. And I'm not simply talking about inside the Gaza Strip, but the people of the Gaza Strip, 80% of them are actually descendants from places that are nearby Gaza. They've never been allowed to go because
the people that live in camps in Beirut and have been there for generations. Many
Correct.
of them.
They go home. They should come back to Palestine. That's the whole point, and that's the essence of it. And if we simply look for these Band-Aid solutions of somehow throwing people here, throwing people there, ethnic cleansing here, ethnic cleansing there, that's not going to get to the root cause. The root cause was the ethnic cleansing of Palestinians in 1948, and it's time for them to come back.
So, your concept, and I'm trying to, is that. The existence of Israel, the existence of the Jewish...
God damn it, stop talking about concepts and talk about UN Resolution 242 that mandates that Israel withdraw to their pre-invasion 1967 borders and recognize Palestinians' right of return. You don't even... You're a fucking high-paid newsman, journalist, so-called journalist, and you don't even talk about UN Resolution 242 and how Israel remains in violation of it since 1967, and how Netanyahu has said that Israel will never, ever comply with UN Resolution 242, ordering Israel out of the Palestinian territories. He will never comply with that, ever, under any circumstances. Why don't you talk about the criminality of Netanyahu and Israel as a state government? You know why you don't? Because you know that's the pathway to the door over at Msnbc. You're out of here, buddy. You keep seeking the truth like this, mister, you're going to wind up with so much cognitive dissonance inside of you, you're going to explode like a like a Coke bottle full of Mentos.
State in 1948 is per se ethnic cleansing. No, would you
Israel,
shouldn't exist.
yes, Israel was built on the lands of Palestinians. It was built through an ethnic cleansing process. It was built through the expulsion of 75% of the Palestinian population.
She knows she can't go on she knows she has to go on MSNBC and say, "Oh, Israel was built through an ethnic cleansing policy," instead of saying what actually happened. Well, see, there was this communist Russian Jew who was sitting at his desk in the old Soviet Union, and he had a belly full of Soviet Union life. So he wrote a book about how he dreamed to go to Palestine as a refugee, form armed terrorist gangs, and murder Palestinians to remove them from what he believed to be his Jewish land so he could establish the state of Israel on it. That's the fucking truth, Jose Ballard Rodriguez Thurston Howell III.
And what Palestinians have been asking for is what is internationally recognized: their right to return. They want to come back to their home, they want to come back to their land, and they haven't been able to do so. So if you have a state that is fundamentally premised on one people's superiority, Jewish superiority, there's something wrong with that. And I think we really have to start taking this on.
Well, I appreciate you being on with us. I look forward to our continued conversations. I thank you.
Thank you.